This one?
Okay,
That one you got. Okay. Okay, so I will try to change your output. And like so. Do you still have output? Yes. Then I should be able to switch. And this one should also be on your input. It is.
Yep.
Great. Then we'll do.
Cool. All right.
Is this the one? No.
Transition real quick.
Hmm.
You
Come
want
again?
to just stand on the podium? Do you want to just stand on the podium? Do like testing 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the video.
Yep. Hello, hello. Checking. Are we live? Can you hear me? Hello.
It's
More.
very quiet on my end.
It's quiet. Okay, I can fix that.
It's about -25.
Okay. Um, for that, I need a second. So, yeah,
There we go.
is better?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
between -10, -15. I think
yeah.
that's good. All right, so try just the video thing again. Make sure everything's synced up.
Okay. Is the audio and video in sync?
Yeah,
Yeah, great.
looking good. Let me zoom in a bit.
Um, did you ask about the HDMI cable from the technical guys? I think they might have one.
Jonathan said you might have one.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Dance, monkey, dance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Okay, great.
Yeah, Electronic Cash System by Satoshi Nakamoto. Read for you by
Now hear this. Hear me now, massive and crew. This is the voice of BCH. Guru. Coming at you. Motivation for the youth.
Lies them a tell, big fire them a burn. Discouraging the youths when them try them best to learn. Them smiling at your face but conspire when you turn. Pray for we consume and only buy never earn. But now we know the truth of the point of no return. We manifest the prophecy in each and every word. Inspiring peace, love and joy across the world. Flying free like a bird. We giving them straight bliss. We forever strong, never break this. Tell the DJ must be play this. Champion in Bitcoin, it's called the BCH. We giving them straight bliss. Original, you could never fake this. Number one song in your playlist. Pull your pocket up with Bitcoin, them call it BCH.
Straight bliss. Yeah man. Everything up and running. Going forward. Not looking back. Not taking no.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hey, there's the energy that I like to see. All right. I think we're just about ready to get started. We're on with the live stream. It's all looking good. All right, hello and welcome back if you're here for the second time, or welcome for the first time to BCH BLISS 2025, the second annual edition. Most of you probably already know me, but if you don't, I'm Jeremy. I'm the host of the Bitcoin Cash podcast, and I will be emceeing for you today. I'm so thrilled that we're back here. Obviously, it came off really well last year, and at the time we didn't know if we'd do it again, but there was so much interest and excitement. We're doing it a second time. I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces, which is great. We've earned your trust to come back, and a few new ones as well too. So things are growing year on year. That's great to see. We've been iterating a little bit on the format as well. We've gone from 2 days to 3. And this morning I learnt a new phrase from the Slovenian audio tech that they use here in Slovenia. So we considered doing 3 days, and then we considered doing 4 days, but that would be like bringing a tree to a forest. So we're just keeping it to 3 this time around. I've got a few little announcements to run through before we get started. We are going to be running a Bitcoin Cash raffle. As you all know, you got some tickets. When you checked in, you're probably wondering what the prizes are. We've got a variety of things. We've got a $500 cash stamp. We've got 2 of the BCH Bull magazines that is being sold by BCH Bull. We have a poker set. We have custom decks of Jessica and Velma playing cards. We have some Velma CDs from Big V. We have potentially any other BCH merch that I somehow acquire, or throughout the day I might just throw it in the pot. And we also have a custom episode of the BCH podcast. So if you win that, you can talk to me and figure out you can come on yourself, or if you want to suggest a guest or a topic, you know, we'll figure something out. You already have some tickets, but if you want to get more tickets, they will be available at €2 a piece from Barbara up the back there. Barbara, can you stand up for a minute? So €2 in BCH if you want to get extra odds to win there. Today is obviously day 1, but on day 3 we will be having the BCH bank run as on the 1st and 15th of every month. So just a reminder, if you need to prep any deposits to fiat exchanges, we're thinking, you know, maybe we can even do it coordinated here live, or if not, obviously during the day, everyone withdrawing as we've been doing. People have the wristbands, so just a reminder that if people have the green wristband, they're okay being in photos and on film and stuff like that, but if anybody has the red ones, please just respect their privacy. Don't be taking photos of them unless you've specifically and directly asked them about it. It's very important, obviously, for some people for a whole variety of reasons, and we did a really good job last year of respecting that, and it lets us have all kinds of attendees that otherwise wouldn't necessarily be able or be comfortable to be here. So please respect that, and if you are taking photos or sharing media after the event as well, you're always welcome to talk to us. We're happy to check through anything and make sure that it's all okay. There, we are live streaming as well too, so if you're watching online, welcome. I hope you enjoy. There was the sticker packs for the Velmas being handed out, but I know not everybody necessarily picked that up, so if you missed out on a Velma sticker pack, you can talk to Jessica or Ryan to grab that. We've got to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. We have this year Mike Komaranski, the Bitcoin Cash Podcast, Commercial Kitchen Stop, Ravish Off Ocean, BCH Bull, Mini Satoshi, Molecular Turek, Steve Thurmond, and Bliss 2024. So thank you to all of them for supporting the event. We wouldn't be able to make it happen without them. And without any further ado, we'll be moving on to our first speaker. He's certainly a character in the scene, Elliot. Better known as Fiendish Crypto, the host of the Fiendish and Friends podcast. He brings plenty of inspirational energy to me and many others, and he is representing Germany. Welcome to the stage, Fiendish Crypto. There we go.
Thank you, Jeremy. Hey everyone, how's it going? Are you enjoying yourselves? Woo! BCH Bliss. Do we have the clicker? I thought it was up here. Jeremy, did you take the... thank you very much. Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Great stuff. Good. Then good morning and hello all you cashies, and welcome to BCH Bliss 2025. This is the most important crypto builder conference of the world. It's wonderful to see that so many of you decided to go the extra mile. You were here last year, you went and did that extra, 1%. Take your time out of the schedule and join us this week for Bliss. And many, if not all of you, are as enthusiastic and passionate as I am about decentralized systems and understand the seismic shift in power that decentralized sound money promises in securing our personal freedom and ensuring future generations experience liberty, self-sovereignty, privacy, and financial freedom. And that is the underlying reason that many of us have joined this week at Bliss. Hey, there we go. And what a perfect place. What a perfect place to host the Bitcoin Cash conference. Ljubljana, Slovenia's capital city. It was recently named the most crypto-friendly city in the world due to its thriving digital asset ecosystem and widespread adoption of cryptocurrency payments. Held at 4 Points Hotel by Sheraton, our rooms are paid for in BCH, and we'll be ordering our drinks later today at the bar using non-custodial and on-chain BCH payments. It was not chosen by accident for this extraordinary cryptocurrency builders experience. And this week, you'll be able to experience all of this firsthand. At least, that was what I was planning on saying. Before the news broke earlier on in the week that Go Crypto's LEPOS is pulling out of the crypto payments market in Slovenia due to KYC and government compliancy issues. Ladies and gentlemen, we stand at a crossroads. Centralized powers continue to tighten their grip. Governments collude on a global scale to strip away all privacy from their citizens. The state relentlessly grows at the expense of freedom and liberty of the individual. It is now clearer than ever that we can vote away the face of government, but you can't vote away the machinery that lays behind it. That machine endures. But we're not here to complain, right? We're here to build solutions. We're here to build systems that defend and empower the individual. And decentralized cash, BCH, is our weapon. It's not just tech, it's a system of revolution, a system that negates and relegates the centralized machinery of old, a system that says no to control and yes to freedom, a system that offers this to every single individual in the world. From the poorest to the richest, from a stick of gum to purchasing a house, Bitcoin Cash works for everyone at any price, and it empowers anyone to control their wealth, protect their future, and break free from the chains of centralized control. Bitcoin Cash is the solution to one of the most pernicious and surreptitious assaults against our liberty and freedom and sovereignty. The importance of decentralized money can never be overstated. It is one of the most important technological revolutions of not just our time, but of all time. We're not just building a currency here. We're building a new world, a decentralized world. We're building a free world. This is our moment to seize, and this is our time to make history. And that's why we're here. Bitcoin unleashed a technical marvel, and Bitcoin Cash took the mantle and improved on that protocol in every conceivable way. It made it a more It made it a more usable, a more scalable, and a more future-proof form of sound money. Bitcoin Cash is the closest we've ever gotten to perfect money. As discussing, there's just one small, tiny challenge left for us to overcome. We gotta pump those user numbers up. Bitcoin Cash has never had as many builders, developers, and apps leveraging its power as it does today. We can hedge and leverage against a variety of assets with BCH Bull, with over $200 million in total volume. We can buy and sell and trade tokens on the decentralized exchange Cauldron Dex, which is fantastic. Trade NFTs on tapswap.cash, or degen on token Pumponomics on bchpump.cash. We have fundraiser tools such as Flipstarter and now the improved fundme.cash. We can choose from an ever-growing treasure trove of BCH wallets, which offer P2P exchange and marketplaces maps for merchants, such as with Paytaka. We can game to earn cash tokens, such as on Zapit, or Cash Fusion for unparalleled privacy in Electron Cash. And this is all alongside the standard lightning-fast on-chain BCH payments that all wallets offer, such as Selene. There has simply never been a better time for a Bitcoin Cash user. This is an incredible ecosystem. It's growing daily, and there is much that we can all be proud of in this development over the last few years. And there is still so much more to do, so much more to build. And with VLMA, or Velma, there are ever more possibilities for developers, and with it, so much real-world usage that can be tapped into and expanded upon. This is the primary driver behind BCH Bliss, and why the most important people are sat here right now in this very room. You are the key to success. Builders, you are the solution to the only real challenge that separates Bitcoin Cash from world domination, global usage, and mass adoption. The power and utility of money is exponentially linked to the size of the network. And the size of the network can be measured by the number of unique users and the throughput that those users create economically. The size of the network is critical for the success of Sound Money. And that's where you guys come in, and why your role as builders is set to change the world forever. Build products that excite. Build products with utility. Build products that impact the lives of its users in such a profound way that they feel compelled to sing from the rooftops, to champion it, and to encourage others to join them in that app or product usage. In the Bitcoin Cash community, there are endless good and a swath of great ideas, and this coming from the many people within it. The challenge facing us today is not one of a lack of ideas. It is rather one of execution. More ideas need to be brought into reality. Not all ideas will be winners. The vast majority of your ideas won't be. It took Jason Dyson 5,127 failures to create the single success required to produce the world's first bagless vacuum cleaner. The rest of Dyson is history, and I hope that many of you share in that type of success going forward. Turn your ideas into reality. Fail often, fail hard, learn, iterate, improve, and most importantly, persevere. The power of Bliss is not just about inspiring and educating, although we're going to learn some pretty fantastic stuff over the course of the day. I'm especially looking forward to the next presentation after me. The real value is on the people you meet along the way. BCH's largest builder today by transaction volume is General Protocols. Their main app, BCH Bull, which leverages all of the power of decentralized money to offer a product that serves a genuine value over $250,000 per day to the many users who rely on the platform to secure their financial wealth. Does anyone know where this group, most important group, met? Yeah, it was something kind of like this, a meetup of BCH proponents. And that's where amazing things begin. And this is the rationale behind Bliss. To get all of you wonderful builders, tinkerers, enthusiasts, entrepreneurs, and BCH fans under one roof. To facilitate the powers of networking that are exponentially more powerful in person than what can be achieved through digital means only. To foster a spirit of collaboration so that great ideas can leave the imagination and enter reality, where they either stand on their own 2 feet and succeed, or more than likely, fail and end up as like one of Dyson's 5,000 prototypes, a critical stepping stone towards your real and genuine success. It's important to remember this. No one can do everything, but everyone can do something. Everyone here has something to offer, and mass usage and adoption of BCH is dependent on exactly that. Bliss is a forum where people with differing skill sets can meet, they can form alliances, establish businesses to bring their ideas into creation and create great products and services that excite the user. Bliss is something far greater than just a series of speakers and panels and passive listening. It is a forum to connect, to be someone, to do something important. I invite everyone attending to share your ideas with others in the breaks, at breakfast, and especially at the bar in the evenings. Listen with open ears and minds to other people's ideas and projects, and seek out the skills in others to complement your own. Does a project discussed pique your interest? Do you recognize an area where you think, hey, I can assist with this? Openly share your ideas and discover whether there are opportunities for collaboration with the people you meet. Are you unsure of where you're able to assist? Talk openly about where your skills are or where you think your strengths are. Even if not today, ensure that you are at the forefront of somebody else's mind when in weeks or in months, opportunity arises. And when seizing these opportunities, please keep these following 5 points in mind. Breaking into the mainstream needs simplicity that invites adoption. Bitcoin Cash is fast, it's scalable, it's low cost. Qualities that make it a true peer-to-peer electronic cash system. But the world doesn't care about technological marvel if it's a challenge to use. We need wallets so intuitive you can send your grandma some sats without her needing a tutorial. We need merchant tools so seamless that businesses adopt them without a second thought. Builders, your mission is to strip away complexity. Create apps, interfaces, and experiences that make them and the Bitcoin Cash network feel like second nature to everyone. A joy to use from novices all the way up to seasoned cypherpunks. We need infrastructure that scales with ambition. Bitcoin Cash can handle thousands of transactions per second, but mainstream adoption means millions of users and billions of transactions and unrelenting demand. Developers, we need you to continue to fortify the network with robust nodes, optimized protocols, and create tools that ensure that Bitcoin Cash remains reliable under any load. Think global. Think massive. Think unstoppable. Every line of code that you write is a brick in our foundation of this financial revolution. We need ecosystems that inspire adoption. Bitcoin Cash isn't just a currency. It's a platform for innovation. We need decentralized applications, smart contracts, and token economies that showcase its power. Build marketplaces where BCH is the native token, native coin. Create payment services that rival PayPal and Visa. Establish ticket systems that offer real advantages over anything that Ticketmaster can create. Develop tools for remittances, micropayments, and charities that prove Bitcoin Cash can solve real-world problems. Show the world that Bitcoin Cash isn't just a store of value and means of exchange. It's a tool for transforming lives. We need community and advocacy. Technology alone won't win hearts and minds. We need builders who are also storytellers. Share your projects, educate businesses, inspire others to join in on this movement. Host meetups, create tutorials, amplify the message that Bitcoin Cash is money for the people, all the people, everywhere in the world. Free from banks, borders, and bureaucrats. Every merchant you onboard, every user you teach is a step towards mainstream adoption. And finally, we need continued resilience and vision. The road to mainstream success continues to be fraught with challenges. Regulatory hurdles, like we're seeing with the crypto payments in Slovenia, market volatility, and skeptics that doubt and belittle us. But builders, you are the architects of our future. Stay focused, and stay strong. And I say we because our combined efforts are what's required for this revolution's success. And so in this spirit, please collaborate fiercely, iterate relentlessly, and remember why we're here: to create a world where anyone, anywhere can participate in the global economy without permission. Bitcoin Cash isn't just a cryptocurrency, it's a promise of empowerment, a promise of financial inclusion, a promise of freedom. But promises are only as good as the people who keep them. So builders, developers, innovators, and anyone that champions freedom, roll up your sleeves, build with purpose, develop with passion. The world is watching, and the time is now. Let's make Bitcoin Cash not just a success, but a revolution that changes the world forever. You and your efforts are the key for BCH breaking into the mainstream. Thank you very much. Have a great Bliss, everyone.
All right, thank you, Fiendish. Do we have any questions, briefly? Anyone in the audience want to chime in? I have a question, which is, I really liked what you were saying. Oh, he's running off now. Oh, he needs to drink water. I have a question, which is, I really liked where you said you want to get that like hook into people's minds so that maybe in a few weeks or a few months, somebody gets inspired and they think back to that connection that you had, you know, at BLISS. And we've actually seen a lot of that from last year's conference. There was all kinds of collaborations and projects that came out of that. So I was wondering if you could just elaborate on that a little bit more. What are ways that people can most effectively, you know, have themselves top of mind, and then perhaps you know, use that to not even just at BLISS, but in general when you're telling people about Bitcoin Cash, and they're often going to think, oh, that one guy onboarded me and now I need to follow him up. How do you make that as reliable as possible?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say it's kind of simple. Be present. So I know that there's quite a few people here, typical of developers, that maybe are slightly more introverted. And you've made it clear that they were kind of nervous coming to BLISS last year because of so many people being there. But nevertheless, what happened was that those people, I guess, helped by the fact that we're all here, we're of the same similar mind and spirit, and it's a very friendly community, they made themselves present. And they were open for communication and making sure, you know, especially in the evenings or in the side breaks, talk with people. Don't just go back to your hotel room. Have a beer, have a wine, have a sparkling water, and just talk with them and be open, because people don't remember exactly what you said, and this is really true. They remember how you made them feel. And if you're there and you're present and you're sharing a drink and sharing a laugh and sharing some good conversations about how we're going to change the world, they'll think about you because of that. So that's my biggest takeaway. So, you know, there's a lot of people joining BLISS this year. There's certainly more people than I remember from last year. And what I'm hoping is that just like last year, I'll see the majority of you later on tonight at the bar at the hotel.
Yeah, Phoenix loves the bar. I think you guys are starting to get the theme here.
That's the real reason behind BLISS.
The real reason to be here. Yeah, do we have another question, possibly? No? All right, well, put your hands together for Phoenix.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right, yes, very inspiring. I will also be at the bar later tonight, so everyone, I'm looking forward to having a beer. I had to turn one down yesterday because I thought if I have one, it'll turn into 4 or 5, and before you know it, you know, I wouldn't be here this morning. So, okay, all right, that's our first talk for the day. Our second talk, we will be bringing up Matthew Hirkins, the creator of Cashanize Wallet and also the CashScript contributor, and he does a Mr. Zwed's YouTube channel where he educates people on Bitcoin Cash, and he's consistently a force and a presence in the community. From Belgium, Matthew Hirkins.
Thank you for that introduction, Jeremy. Yeah, we'll go to the announcement. So very happy to be here at BLISS 2025 with all of you. I have something that I've been working on for the past year that I'm very excited to show off. To continue on the last presentation, we need to build things that excite, that people want to use. So in that vein, I hope I can present my new project. So I'll uncensor this slide, announcing Parity USD. from the name alone, you might already have an intuition for what this is. It wasn't easy in the weeks leading up to BLISS to keep it under the radar, and even for the conference organizers, but also the many friends and contacts who I have here, who of course were curious about the topic of the presentation. So, Parity USD, a decentralized stablecoin on Bitcoin Cash. That's what I've been building over the past year. And of course, the vision, the ideals of this project is to have something non-custodial and trustless, so in the very same vein as Bitcoin Cash, and leveraging some of the new technologies enabled with cash tokens and with the smart contract upgrades that Bitcoin Cash has had. First, before I talk about the specific features that Parity USD will have, I first want to zoom out a bit and talk about the state of the cryptocurrency industry and how it relates to stablecoins. So if we take a kind of big picture point of view, these are some articles of the last month or two from Bitcoin.com, so the Bitcoin.com news site, and I'll just read the headlines so you can get an intuition where we're moving as an industry. So the first one reads, stablecoin market adds 4.5 billion in a week, nears 240 billion milestone as total market cap. Then Dune study shows that stablecoins grew 63% in 2024, reaching a $235 billion valuation. Then here it says Visa integrates stablecoins into 150 million merchant network. And then lastly, the last headline I want to read is stablecoin sector shatters records as USDC cracks 60 billion for the first time. So clearly, stablecoins as a category, they are growing quite fast, and they're one of the killer use cases of crypto. Many people have noticed because they solve the volatility problem. But just looking at these articles, you might notice we see Tether and we see USDC. These are trusted stablecoins, so we trust a company to have custody of funds. So this is kind of antithetical to the crypto movement. We would prefer not to have need trust in these institutions. And moreover, they strengthen the legacy financial network because, of course, they are backed by dollars, usually in a bank, but sometimes also they invest this in government bonds. So Tether recently has been one of the biggest buyers of US government debt. So it's really strengthening the traditional financial system and by extension governments and not crypto. So it would be much better if we can have crypto-backed stablecoins which they meet the demand for dollars and stability that exists in the world, but behind the scenes, if you look what's happening under the hood, they actually strengthen crypto. They are backed by not dollars in a bank, but by crypto assets. This means that you will need some over-collateralization with a safe margin, because of course the crypto assets are volatile in dollars, but they strengthen the crypto network. So with this context, I will talk about some of the features that Parity USD will have. So Parity USD is a novel over-collateralized stablecoin project on cash tokens. So it will be a cash token like any other, in the sense that you will have a stablecoin. When it's fully developed, you will have a stablecoin in your wallet that you can transact with, meaning that the fees will be negligible and you will have full ownership. So by default, none of the cash tokens have freezing functionality or can be censored or can be confiscated. So this will also apply. So I think just generally, cash tokens are a very powerful primitive, and this is what we're leveraging with Parity USD. Furthermore, with this project, we want to bring the full power of DeFi to Bitcoin Cash. So we have already seen over the past year or two, DeFi starting to take off in Bitcoin Cash, but at a relatively small scale. So as an explicit goal for Parity USD, I want to make it the biggest DeFi project on Bitcoin Cash, because we need to grow DeFi orders of magnitude. So I think we can be ambitious and have some friendly competition around the builders here, and to grow the pie for everyone as a whole. So Parity USD, it will have a very symbiotic relationship with Bitcoin Cash, because more demand for Parity USD means more Bitcoin Cash locked in this over-collateralized system. So Bitcoin Cash, the value as a whole, should also benefit from this. Now let me talk about the different use cases. What features does the Parity USD decentralized stablecoin, what does it have? So it is a token that you can have in your wallet, but how does it get into circulation? Well, any Parity USD that will get released into circulation has Bitcoin Cash backing it. So when new tokens are released in circulation, there needs to be backing, and this happens by borrowing. So this will not be for all stablecoin users. It can just be for a select percentage of users who are interested in this borrowing mechanism. And this is kind of standard for decentralized stablecoins, so you might already know this mechanism, but I'll explain it for the people for who this is new. So you can, with Parity USD, you will be able to borrow up to 90% of the value of Bitcoin Cash that you lock inside a contract. So of course your Bitcoin Cash is volatile, so there is like a liquidation mechanism. So you will have to be careful that you are always you have a healthy loan and that it's well over collateralized. But this is a way that people who have a lot of Bitcoin Cash, some of you might be in this position. If you have a lot of Bitcoin Cash and you need liquidity, you have things you want to pay, maybe international commerce, maybe services, maybe you just want to invest in some token or a new project, new protocol that is around the corner. So you want extra liquidity without selling your Bitcoin Cash, because many people here, they would prefer not to sell their Bitcoin Cash but still have exposure over the long term. Well, by borrowing, you can enable to lock a portion of your Bitcoin Cash, borrow against this, so you have liquidities to spend. So that is a first use case that's typical to DeFi, but relatively new for Bitcoin Cash, especially at a production scale. Next up, and essential to Parity USD, is a redemption mechanism. So of course, anyone can create a token, and even can create a collateralized token, but what is the guarantee that it's worth $1? Well, the easiest way is to make it redeemable for $1 worth of Bitcoin Cash, because that's a very direct mechanism. You hold a Parity USD token. At any point, you can go to the contract and get $1 worth of Bitcoin Cash. That also means that if ever it would, the peg would be below $1, there's a direct arbitrage mechanism where you can just take a bunch of Parity USD at below $1, so buy them cheap, and then convert them directly. So of course this would happen by automatic trading bots making these direct arbitrages, even when there's just a cent on the dollar to earn. So that is the redemption mechanism, and it's very important for the stability mechanism of the project. So that is the second functionality. Thirdly, there is also staking functionality. So if you hold Parity USD, you will be able to stake it. And why I think this is a very important feature is even your bank offers a savings account, right? And even though the interest rate, the yield on that will currently be very low, it's important if you want to outcompete traditional finance that we also have products that can offer sustainable yield or interest payments for people who want to use the equivalent of a savings account. And so how does Parity USD, how is it able to offer sustainable yield or a staking mechanism? Well, if you borrow, if you create a loan, you have, as we said, you have to manage this liquidation risk, but you also have an interest rate. So you have the borrowers who pay an interest rate. This is similar to how it operates at a normal bank. Borrowers pay an interest rate, and then savers who lock their money up for a long time, they earn this interest rate. So this is important, this mechanism, for the stability, because a high interest rate environment would incentivize demand through this staking. So imagine there is not a lot of Parity USD staked, but there are a lot of borrowers paying a high interest rate, then this would be paid to the stakers, and this would highly incentivize locking up Parity USD. So it's a way also to balance supply and demand, additional to just the redemption mechanism. So I think this is a very important feature, both to compete with traditional finance and other DeFi networks, but also for the stability. So it's really one integrated design and protocol. So 3-in-1, 3 features. I would say all 3 are new in BCH DeFi, but all 3 are very important to come to one protocol that makes sense in its totality. I want to take some extra time to focus on this mission, to demonstrate the power of DeFi on Bitcoin Cash. So the goal is, of course, the goal for the protocol is to be big and grow, but more so it's to demonstrate what Bitcoin Cash is capable of, to show what new tools can be used, what advanced capabilities exist. So it demonstrates as a showcase and hopefully as an encouragement to others to also innovate. Not only that, but Parity USD or similar stablecoins to it will be an important primitive and building block for other projects. You see this on existing networks like Ethereum, where a stablecoin is not the end-all be-all, but it is a primitive for use in other DeFi projects. So for example, you can then use them for token swaps, or you can use them on an NFT marketplace, or you can use them to create some other protocol using this stability mechanism and stable token. Further, not only to demonstrate the power of Bitcoin Cash as a whole, but also to demonstrate CashCrypt, how you can use CashCrypt to build very complex smart contract systems where multiple components interact and where you can make understandable smart contracts. The end goal, I think, is for CashCrypt to become the solidity of Bitcoin Cash. And Bitcoin doesn't have anything like it, so I would say even it is the solidity of any Bitcoin-like chains. That's the vision for CashCrypt. But of course, we need projects that demonstrate that this is true. Ambitious projects, technical, complex projects that showcase that you can actually build things similar to what we see on Solidity, that it can be done on Bitcoin Cash. And then lastly, Cash tokens is the essential primitive. None of this would be possible without the Cash tokens upgrade 2 years ago now. So last year was the ABLA upgrade, and then 2 years ago was when Cash tokens activated. So a lot of important infrastructure has been built, and Cash tokens serves as a super important primitive, both for the smart contract system, but also just for the transfer of fungible tokens in a low-cost, uncensorable, unconfiscatable way. I didn't invent the protocol I'm talking about with the stability mechanism related to the redemption and the interest rates, the staking. This is based on the Liquidity v2 protocol. This is an Ethereum project. And here it compares 3 different designs that you can use for decentralized stablecoins. And specifically, this compares how they do the interest rates. So you could design a 0% interest rate system, but then of course you cannot have any kind of staking or yield, and especially not that self-balances the system by managing supply and demand. So here there's 3 decentralized stablecoins: the MakerDAO, which is now rebranded to Sky, Curve USD, and Liquidity v2. And Liquidity, their version 1 was interest-free, but they took this lesson that interest rates are actually, who we would have known, a super important economic concept. So to ignore interest rates is very much to your own detriment. And that's also why interest rates are super important to be competitive with other DeFi and traditional finance solutions. So here we see governance driven. This means there is a small committee that decides the interest rates. Maybe it's token holders, maybe it's a multisig, but it's similar to a central bank. It's a group of experts or people who rely on experts who say, now we will hike the interest rate, now we will lower. So they need to decide when and by how much to change the interest rate. And it's very, very difficult, and it's kind of central planning. Then for Curve USD, their innovation was to make this algorithmic. So they said, we will devise some mathematical formula. The experts, we let the experts maybe design the formula, but then we no longer rely on the experts, because once the experts have put into code, put into math, how they think the interest should govern, then why should we have like the human error and human who can of course be humans who can be convinced or who can not do as they promised. So we will just use an algorithm. Yeah, the obvious problem with this is who says that the algorithm is good or efficient, and how many people actually understand this algorithm. So for users, your interest might spike or be lowered, and you have really no clue why this is happening or how different parameters of the system in a very complex equation, how they affect the interest rate that you're paying on your loan. So also algorithmic interest rates. It's not popular with users, but also technically it's not a satisfactory solution. And then the big innovation of liquidity V2 was market-driven interest rates. So instead of one interest rate that's paid by everyone, you will have kind of a range of interest rates that people can pay. But this market-driven interest rate, it works because there is a risk attached to it. Namely, the redemptions that we mentioned earlier. If you want to redeem your stablecoins, these will be against the loans that pay the lowest interest rate. So there is some risk to paying 0%. If everyone pays 2, 3, 4%, then you are outside of the range and you will be first in line to be redeemed against. And by adding this risk and this mechanism of redemptions, you have automatically adjusting interest rates. So you have a dynamic market-driven system where it reacts to any kind of parameters. So it can react to things inside of the system, like how many BCH is locked, how popular are these tokens in Bitcoin Cash DeFi, but also it can take in information of outside the Bitcoin Cash network. It can take in how high is the interest rate in Ethereum DeFi. That would be a relevant parameter to see what the interest rate in Bitcoin Cash should be. Or more broadly and globally, what is the interest rate set by the Fed in the US? What does the European Central Bank, what's their interest rate like? What is China doing with their interest rates? So it can take all the global and very specific crypto sector information and aggregate this into an efficient dynamic interest rate. So that is the big innovation of the Liquidity V2 protocol. And what I have decided I will go with for Parity USD. So let me expand a bit on this Liquidity V2 design because it is the central and important component of how Parity USD works. So first of all, version 2 is an improvement on version 1. That is, and version 1 was kind of popular, but I really noticed in the whole working of the system, they noticed the problems of not having this interest rate. 0%, it was not balancing the system. Also, they had direct redemptions, but if the stablecoin would trade above $1, then the redemptions, they only provide a safe lower bound for arbitrage. But if your stablecoin is trading at $1.10, then this redemption mechanism, it doesn't push it back down to $1. So with dynamic interest rates, you can pay, for example, very high interest rates if it's trading at $1.10, or the reverse, very low interest rates, so if you have a way to manage supply and demand. Liquidity V2 is currently not deployed yet. It's supposed to be deployed mid-May, so maybe in the following days. But so this will be interesting to see how it goes. And I expect it to be a fast-growing protocol because it innovates in this crucial way. But the fact that it's not launched yet and doesn't have a big TVL is a big opportunity, I think, for Bitcoin Cash, because we get to leapfrog the innovation of Ethereum. We get to take their years of learning and experimentation and just jump to their conclusion, like what worked. Let's take only the good parts, the good ideas, and then we don't have to do all these failures, but we can study what they learned by all their experimentation. So that's, I think, one key piece, that we should look at what experimentation has already been done and try to take the lessons from it. I think I talked about the first point, the staking rewards as a stability mechanism. So I will not go too much further into detail. We will, now that the project is public, there will be social media accounts, a landing page, but also a blog. So there will be more information about, for example, the stability mechanism, but also if you want to communicate technical updates or the white paper, that will now all be done on the social media and the Telegram groups. Important for the Liquidity V2 design with market-driven interest rates is that it's easy to update your interest rate, because markets are efficient, but they're only as efficient as the transaction costs and the inner workings of the system. So if you have a system where users can set their own interest rate, but they have to connect to the platform to update their interest rates, and they only do this once a week or once a month, then your system will not be very dynamic, or will not be very efficient. So I think what is very key to this dynamic interest rates, market-driven interest rates, is that you can delegate your interest rate management. So anyone who likes to be like a financial manager or actively monitor his loan with his liquidation risk and redemption risk can of course do that, and you can likely learn a lot from doing this. But people who just want peace of mind or want to automate this can delegate it. You can delegate it to your own hot wallet, your own trading bot, or you can delegate it, of course, to some expert or some financial manager, someone who says, I will react this way to this kind of interest rate change. Or I will take into account that we are in the 50th percentile of interest rates so that we are not close to this redemption risk. So I think the interest rate delegation, so that you don't have to manage your interest rate, is very efficient, very important for an efficient market. So you have low cost for updating it, and you can toggle at any time. Or now I want to opt into this interest manager. Maybe later you want manual control again, or you want to switch to another interest manager. There can be competition about how to most efficiently manage your interest rates in this dynamic setting. And then, importantly, you cannot, with Liquid EV2, you cannot take the entire protocol and apply it right away to a UTXO model. So there is some difficulty, some design choices, especially related to the redemption system. So the redemption system, as we talked about, they are ordered by interest rate, and the lowest paying interest rate, this is the one that will be redeemed first. But this range of interest rates is kind of a global state. So it's hard for a contract to know what is the lowest paying interest rate. What is which contract is actually the lowest paying. So this is a very important problem for a UTXO model to think about. In many cases, you can work around the need for having any global state, and you can just use local state in different components, have a modular architecture. But in this specific case, you want to be sure that of all the loans and all the UTXOs that are created, which is the lowest interest paying. And so there are different design decisions, or different designs that you can make for this. But with Parity USD, and we'll have more information in the blog post, we have chosen for a trust minimized solution. So there is no need for an oracle, but it's checking locally between two different contracts, and it can see if the wrong redemption is targeting the not lowest interest paying loan. So it's kind of an optimistic design. You assume that the target is the lowest interest paying loan, but you can easily prove if this is not the case. And I mention this because there can be other designs for this redemption mechanism, and it's very much, I think, a new field of how to apply these global state IDs to a UTXO model. So this is the website, the Parity USD stablecoin. I would encourage you all to take a look. I'm very excited that it's now public and available for everyone. Of course, as I said, the social medias are now also live with a Telegram and X account, and currently the GitHub will not have much information yet, but over time there will be more and more code released about the smart contracts, of course, that they can be audited, but also other infrastructure relevant to Parity USD. And as I mentioned, the blog post, the blog section with for now one article announcing Parity USD. So you will also see this on social media later, that I will making this reveal public. Well, that was my talk announcing Parity USD. Thank you everyone for being here.
All right, we've already got our first question from Jonathan here.
So we already have Moria on the network today, or they're going to launch something version 1 fairly soon. What are the key differences between these two?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I haven't seen the presentation from Moria for their final design yet, so I cannot speak to their system. So that's also why I try to highlight some of these points that are important for Parity USD. For example, this delegation and this redemption system. And then we will have a way to, for example, compare and see how their final design, what it looks like.
Okay, we got lots of questions here.
This might be a silly question, but if is it going to be like the interest rates, would they be determined by like different markets, or is it just in the entirety of the ecosystem?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So it's user set interest rates. So if you create a loan, you can say, I want to pay 3%, or I want to pay 5%, I want to pay 10%. But of course, you don't make this decision in isolation, because there is some risk to being the lowest paying person. So you will normally say, oh, what does everyone else pay? And then try to position yourself accordingly. So if you, of course, everyone wants to pay as least as possible, but then you position yourself with your risk appetite or your risk profile. So you can say, oh, I'm willing to pay a little more if that means I have much lower risk. Or I'm willing to take this kind of risk because redemption risk is not the same as liquidation, right? It's not like your money is taken, but it's converted. So you had a loan, and so you put BCH in, took Parity USD out, so you think I can access this BCH at any point. But if you're redeemed against, this means someone else gives the Parity USD, takes the BCH out, so then you have more stable coins. You kind of sold your BCH for stable coins. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. This is a question that is bothering me.
Okay.
Since the only way to actually get the stable coin is by staking your Bitcoin, and you have to pay some kind of interest to return the stable coin for your Bitcoin, which can only be gotten by staking more Bitcoin to get more stable coin. So that essentially means that there might be a time in the future where there is not enough stablecoin in existence to redeem all the Bitcoin.
Yeah, I see. So how this works technically is you pay the interest in BCH. So it's not the case that you need to repay your loan in the stablecoin and then pay extra stablecoins on top, because as you said, they would not be issued. So there wouldn't be the stablecoins to actually pay for this. So how the interest rate mechanism works technically is you lock your Bitcoin Cash in a smart contract as collateral, and it will be paying BCH out over time. So kind of your collateral will be slightly shrinking. Let's say if you pay 5% interest each year, then by doing nothing and you just check in a year later at the same price, then your BCH position will be 5% smaller. But it's not the case that you need to actively put in extra tokens, or it's kind of something that happens passive, these interest rate payments.
Okay, next question. Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much for a great presentation. It's exciting to see this, and I think, it looks fantastic. I can't wait until it's out and be able to use it. My question to you, Matteo, is so understanding a little bit about MiCA and the challenges that the laws in Europe pose, and especially to a European Union citizen. I'd just like to ask you about, how have those challenges been for you, and how have you looked to solve them and make sure that liquidity and your enterprise and setting this up is staying compliant?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's a good question. So I decided for Parity USD to create a company. So it's not just a hobby project. I want to take it serious, build a small team and make it sustainable. And also to, of course, be able to deal with the legal and compliance side. So MiCA does not apply to sufficiently decentralized projects. Of course, that's a caveat. What is sufficiently decentralized? Well, they don't fully elaborate. So it's a bit of a hard position with the EU regulators. But from the initial legal research and legal work that has been done, it seems that this kind of system would just be allowed fine in the European Union, with the important note that it has to be sufficiently decentralized. But because it's fully non-custodial and running on smart contracts, then I think one important consideration would maybe that there's multiple front ends, right? So that it also looks decentralized, that there's not just one website, but even if there is only one website to start out with, under the hood it's definitely decentralized, because anyone can keep the system alive by just executing the smart contract transactions, even without the website. So yeah.
Any more questions? Oh, one right up the back here.
A couple questions.
Sure.
One, so, and I think this is implicit, I haven't used any of the products yet, so essentially I can borrow against my BCH. I still get exposure to the upside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and then the downside, I face liquidation, which is, worst case. I just need to make sure I can cover anything.
yeah. So in the normal case where you are not liquidated, then you just have the interest rate cost. But besides that, yeah, exactly as you understand.
And then for the ecosystem, let's say I want to borrow against it, right? And what is the off-ramping to, let's say, if my company has BCH and we want to put it into our operating account with a bank, what's the best off-ramping to kind of the traditional finance at the moment in the ecosystem?
Yeah, can you be a bit more specific? Like
Yeah,
what
so
part?
so let's say I borrow against my BCH. I'm assuming that I'm getting
The stable
the stable coin. How do I turn that stable coin into dollars?
Yeah, so the stablecoin would be fully under your control, so it would be a cash token like any other in your wallet. So you could likely use a DEX or maybe even a centralized exchange to swap it back to Bitcoin Cash, or Bitcoin Cash would likely be the most liquid asset on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. So I think you would, if you want to,
I guess my question is, can I get fiat?
yeah. So what you would do is you take a loan, and then you get Parity USD stablecoins. You go to a DEX and then trade it back for Bitcoin Cash. So then you have the Bitcoin Cash that is locked and a smaller amount of Bitcoin Cash that is liquid. But you can sell this liquid part on an exchange, and you still have the loan going. So as long as it's at some later point you don't get liquidated and you pay the interest rates, you pay the interest rates, then you can access your original Bitcoin Cash.
And then how do I satisfy the interest? Is that just pulled out, or when
that's
I
pulled
exit
out.
the contract?
Yeah, that's pulled out. So,
Okay,
your BCH position will slightly shrink over time just because these interest rate payments are made. So if you have a healthy buffer for the liquidation risk, then these small interest payments, you cannot keep an open indefinitely. So if you would you would borrow and you would forget for 10 years, then then these interest payments would add up. But even then, your Bitcoin Cash collateral might be worth so much.
Bitcoin Cash is much higher.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, all right. And I have a question too, which is, you mentioned we've now caught up to the Ethereum ecosystem, and honestly, it's a pretty impressive job in my own view by the BCH ecosystem in the last 2 or 3 years to have accelerated so much and caught up to them. Now that we are starting to either match or even surpass some of the designs and protocols that they're putting out, do you expect that will generate interest in the Ethereum community in looking into BCH, and what can we do to facilitate bringing in builders, because they're so much bigger than us, but of course builders always want to be at the forefront and somebody's always going to want to take that risk. So how do we open the door for them to come into our ecosystem?
Yeah, great question. So I think the one big benefit we have is we have layer 1 on-chain scalability. So what has happened is they have gotten themselves into a fractured ecosystem with many layer 2s. And this is confusing for builders, right? Because they ask, the layer 1 is kind of high fees, and many users, they don't like this, so I will pick a layer 2. But then you see there's 20 layer 2s that are kind of viable, and then you need to pick, but it's all fractured, and then they need to use bridges. And so this is a big drawback that I see from Ethereum. So this is something we can kind of compete on, the more monolithic design of a scalable layer 1. But then to attract the developers specifically, that might be a challenge still, because they have the Solidity global state mental model. So I think for them, they will first have to unlearn a few things before they can adopt the cash tokens and local state paradigm.
Okay, we'll see how that goes.
Hey.
Hi.
So there's basically 3 ways how to do third-party redemptions. It's the lowest collateral, the lowest interest, and time-based redemptions. I think it would be best for the minters to have the ability to pick any of those, because someone might prefer paying interest, someone might prefer locking the collateral for a longer time, or locking a higher collateral. I think and at the same time that it would be in the same stablecoin, right? Because it would be easy to make these 3 separate stablecoins, but that would fragment the ecosystem and the utility for the users of the stablecoin. It would be fairly easy to combine the time-based redemption with any of the other two, but my question is if you have put any thought into how you would combine the lowest collateral and the lowest interest redemption mechanisms.
Yeah, so thank you for your question. Indeed, you can have the fact that you choose the lowest interest paying is a system design choice, and you can make different design choices. As you say, you can do lowest collateral ratio or something time-based. I see it as a big problem to try to use multiple at once, because then you have maybe I can show by analogy. In Liquidity v2, what they allow for multi-collateral, multi-asset collateral. So you can either put in Ethereum and then borrow, but you can also put in wrapped Ethereum or some other assets. This kind of fractures your stablecoin in different liquidity pools with different liquidation risks and different interest rates potentially. So that's really, I think it explodes the complexity for very little benefit. And I would say that the same is true for this design choice. So you could technically choose multiple of these or try to have flexibility for minters. But I don't think it would improve the design significantly, but it would add complexity and even fracture the stablecoin liquidity. So.
All right, everyone, that's all we have time for. Put your hands together for Matthew. Great stuff. All right, we're running nicely to time, so we're going to have a little 20-minute, 25-minute break. There'll be coffee and drinks outside, so yeah, take a break, chat amongst yourselves, and we'll be back at about 11:15 for the next talk. Thank you.
Check, check.